in Fordow, under which Iran's centrifuge halls are believed to be buried. Now, Fordow, viewers, is a very important site because it's here in the deepest depths of the mountain that Iran has to some extent been able to produce, according to certain intelligence agencies, the nearest thing to weapon grade uranium or plutonium. Satellite imagery shows a stark contrast at Iran's Fordow nuclear site before and after the reported US airstrike. Now, viewers, let's look at your screens. In the middle is the before picture. And in the before image, the facility, as you can see, appears intact, with the surrounding terrain undisturbed and the main rectangular white roof structure showing no visible signs of damage. Roads, entry points, and nearby infrastructure remain orderly, viewers, and there is no indication of surface disruption. Just compare the two pictures and you can see. In the after image, however, the same area displays significant changes. A wide section in front of the facility is covered in grey dust or debris, with visible ground disturbance and multiple markings that appear to be craters. And there you can see it very, very clearly, viewers. On the left and on the right, huge changes. Now, viewers, in the after image, however, the same area displays significant changes. A wide section in front of the facility is covered in grey dust or debris, with visible ground disturbance and multiple markings that appear to be craters. General Dan Kane, chairman of the US Joint Chiefs of Staff, told Reuters that 7 B-2 bombers dropped 14 GBU-57-B bombs, each weighing 30,000 pounds on the site. So, viewers, 15 tons of ammunition have landed on these particular sites. The bunker buster, the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, is designed to carry large explosive payload made from high-performance steel alloy, built to withstand impact without breaking, can penetrate hard materials like concrete rock. Now, viewers, all of this engineering, of course, is only to tell you that the B-2 Spirit, it's the only plane that can deploy this massive ordnance penetrator, which can penetrate up to 60 meters into the ground, designed to strike deeply buried targets. The reason we are focusing on this munition and the before and after photos, which we'll bring back on the screens, is because, viewers, the future of this war pivots on these two photographs. The question to whether uranium reserves were relocated before US airstrike is an open one. If it has been, and the Israelis find out that it has been, this war can continue. If, on the other hand, the Israelis have assessed that these bunker buster munitions have found their way down into the centrifuges and cooked Iran's nuclear weaponry, whatever it is, even if it is fissile material, then, viewers, the war could end in the very near future, because Iran's capacity to build future nuclear bombs will be set back by years, will be degraded significantly. And in these days, viewers, however, there is a fly in the ointment, because in these days leading up to the strike that was conducted by the Trump administration, satellite images captured what was described as unusual activity at Fordow, with a long line of vehicles at the facility's entrance. And when you look at some of those pictures, viewers, you see this huge line of trucks, big ones. A senior Iranian official told Reuters that a significant portion of Iran's 60% enriched uranium stockpile was relocated before the strike. So let's ask the face of Israel's military machine, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, why Israel is so confident that it has decapitated, along with the United States, Iran's nuclear capacity. Now, all of you viewers know Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus. He's the ex-IDF international spokesperson, and during the height of the Israel war against Hamas in the aftermath of the October 7 terror attack in 2023, viewers. He was the man. And welcome, sir, on CNN News 18. He was the man who was telling the world what was happening. Became a household name. So I want to begin by asking Lieutenant Colonel Conricus, thank you first of all, sir, for speaking to Indian audiences and bringing them up to speed with what the Israeli assessment is. How far, let me ask you bluntly, how far reaching has the impact of the US operation been on Iran? Can you say for sure that their nuclear capacity has been decapitated, whatever extent to which it was developed?
We're waiting for final BDA, which I think will take some time for technical final assessment of the damage done, especially to the underground facility at Fordow. But I think that we're getting closer to a point where the cumulative effect of taking out Iranian scientists, many of them very important ones, in the beginning of the Israeli operation, striking all of Iran's clandestine and overt infrastructure, nuclear and weaponization, and then the final American blow to Fordow, Isfahan, and Natanz. I think the cumulative effect will be quite substantial, but of course we have to wait for final confirmation, and my assessment is that it's going to be a positive one. If it isn't positive enough, then Israel will go back and finish the job, and perhaps the US will as well.
Well, viewers, as I was telling you, this assessment is very important. Now, we know that Israel carried out fresh strikes on Fordow today. Many are saying, Lieutenant Colonel, that Iran moved its nuclear fissile material beforehand. How do you respond to these reports that are coming out? And we saw in one of the satellite images a huge number of trucks parked outside the Fordow facility also, that Iran had packed the mouth of the Fordow facility, of the cave really, or whatever it is, the shaft, with a lot of dirt.
Well, I know that pundits around the world and self-appointed new experts on nuclear and military matters have been saying that. I would advise caution, and I think we should all, assess events on the ground. I think one thing is very sure. Israel prepared for this a long time, years of collecting intelligence, assessing Iranian targets, and then set into motion an Israeli plan with, I think, a very high level of accuracy in operations. I would assume, and I think that's a fair assumption, that Israel has been monitoring this. Since Israel has shown that it's been on top of events in Iran for the last week and a half, I think it's fair to assume that Israel has foreseen and prepared itself for this contingency and was indeed tracking the whereabouts of that very important asset. So I think people should be a little bit more modest when it comes to assessing military affairs, especially when Israeli achievements, together with the American achievements, have been so overwhelming, indicating excellent intelligence.
Well, the IAEA has said today in a statement before the entire full-formed council that there has been significant damage, viewers, to Iran's nuclear enrichment sites. So that is the IAEA. Now, what kind of damage will only depend on the kind of intelligence that is gleaned. So we're going to wait for that. But they have prima facie agreed with Lieutenant Colonel, saying that, look, there has been significant damage. But the charge, Lieutenant Colonel Conricus, is that the NPT, the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty regime, or the Non-Proliferation Treaty regime, is being undermined as these strikes are undermining the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Authority. How do you respond to this? They're saying this is illegal, dangerous.
I think the NPT definitely has been undermined by the Islamic Republic. They've been trying to build a nuclear weapon while they are allegedly or officially a member of the NPT. And that's a gross, very cynical violation. The Iranian regime is a violation of the NPT. They're, playing this double game of lying to the world, conducting negotiations, not in good faith, and then running and investing tremendous resources at this clandestine nuclear weapons program. That's a violation of the NPT, and frankly, that I think it's the real threat to non-proliferation.
So you're turning this on its head. You're saying it's actually Iran that has violated the terms of the NPT and made them pretty much infructuous. But many are saying that the strikes with the US are against international law, that Trump himself has not taken permission of his own Congress, which is their parliament, and that he has ridden roughshod along with Israel over all sorts of international treaty obligations. There are also some who are saying that human rights violations are happening and that you should all be tried for war crimes, etc., etc. What's your response to these very hard-hitting indictments by some people?
I think it is a perfectly legal measure by the United States and, of course, by Israel to preempt weapons of mass destruction. There was very clear intel that Israel has, that it also shared with the US, that the Iranians were sprinting towards a bomb. And as such, what Israel did was to take preemptive action and followed suit by the Americans. So I think not only was it necessary, it was legal, it was the right thing to do. And with so many other cases in history, like in 1981 in Osirak, Iraq, and 2007 in Deir ez-Zor, Syria, Israel took preemptive action against nuclear weapons programs in the hands of tyrants and Muslim dictators. At the time, the same voices that you referred to, or similar ones, were speaking about international law and legality and other technicalities. But the bottom line is that Israel prevented proliferation in the Middle East by taking unilateral preemptive action. That's what we're seeing now in Iran in 2025. And at the end of the day, I think the world owes Israel a tremendous thank you for doing, as the German Chancellor said, the dirty work for the world.
Now I know that the Israelis have said that their mission is to degrade any potential that Iran might have to enrich weapons-grade uranium, plutonium, call it what you want to. Does that remain an objective? What is the next stage? How long will Israel continue its actions if Iran's nuclear capacity is degraded, as you claim, or that is the overwhelming assessment in Israeli circles? Why continue, sir?
Well, Israel needs to, of course, verify and see that the weaponization part of Iran's nuclear program is totally destroyed, and that has not been confirmed yet. And Israel also has an urgent need in terms of self-defense to undermine Iran's capacity to fire missiles at Israel. Just a few hours ago, Iran fired additional missiles towards Israel, and myself and millions of others were in bomb shelters for who knows the manyth time. Israel needs to take care of that threat. And Israel also wants to rid itself of Iranian terror proxies. These are the three clear, outspoken goals that Israel has. And now I would say that time is more on Israel's side. For many years, time was on Iran's side, but Israel kind of flipped that situation on its head. And now time is on Israel's side because Iranian airspace is dominated by Israel. And Israel has the ability to act wherever, whenever it needs against Iranian military targets. The situation will be influenced very much by what the Iranian leadership decides to do next. They can continue to escalate by firing missiles at Israel and trying to do other things, or they can de-escalate and most probably saving their regime. If they continue to escalate, then I don't know where things may lead to. We may see a significant expansion of Israeli targeting to additional infrastructure in Iran, like national infrastructure that is both military and civilian, dual purpose, like oil refineries, gas refineries, national infrastructure, ports, etc. Those are targets that are available to Israel, that Israel so far has decided not to strike, but that could change based on the actions of the Iranian regime.
Well, those are big words there coming from Lieutenant Colonel Conricus, of course, a man who has served the military. Let me just put it on record, Lieutenant Colonel, that Iran says that time for it is not an issue, that it sees this conflict dragging on for the next couple of years. It's prepared, in fact, to take it on for a couple of years. Will we be seeing, well, thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Conricus, will we be seeing another intractable Russia-Ukraine-like quagmire, viewers, developing in this region, an ulcerous sore that is going to become problematic? We don't know. One just hopes that good sense prevails, that there's de-escalation as India has called for, and others are now insisting should actually take place. The one redeeming hope is that President Trump has also put the ball in Iran's court, saying that, look, you can come back to the table, let's negotiate. We have done what we had to do. If you continue down this route of hostilities, then we will continue with targeting you, which could lead, viewers, as Lieutenant Colonel was saying, to unpredictable consequences. One hopes that better sense prevails and Iran pulls back now. Viewers, let me tell you, Iran is quite isolated. The Muslim world seems to be not very keen on going beyond token condemnation of the United States. Strikes on Iran. Here's a quick list of what essentially appears to be boilerplate statements on US action. Saudi Arabia has said the kingdom expresses the need to exert all efforts to exercise restraint, de-escalate, and avoid escalation. There is no threat, viewers, to the United States. Qatar, viewers, the Emirate of Qatar has come out and said, we call on all parties to exercise wisdom, restraint, and to avoid further escalation. Again, the Qatari royal family is not threatening war in support of Iran. Very, very important. Iraq has come out and said this military escalation constitutes a grave threat to peace and security in the Middle East and poses serious risks to regional stability. Once again, a very boilerplate statement. Countries like Pakistan have in fact provided tacit intelligence support to USA, with the country even recommending US President for a Nobel Peace Prize, viewers. Can you believe it? Syria is largely silent. Curiously, it has only spoken to reveal that Iran-backed terror groups pose a viable risk to US assets in the region and in the country. And in fact, we're hearing that a US asset was in fact targeted with some sort of munitions in Syria. We're going to get more updates on that story as we go along. But if that reprisal takes place and it is Syria, then expect Trump to come back into all of this even harder. And he has warned Iran, if any American life is lost in reprisal action, you've had it. That's what Trump has said. Now, viewers, I read out to you what the West Asian nations have said, all these Gulf countries. Is it a surprise that these West Asian nations and other Islamic nations on the periphery seem reluctant to deploy diplomatic or even military capital in defense of Iran? Now, viewers, let's speak to Jonathan Spire, who's a British-Israeli analyst and writer. Thank you, Mr. Spire, for joining us here on CNN News 18. I have to ask you this question straight off the bat. How much is Iran to blame for its own predicament?
Well, I think to a great extent it is to blame, in the sense that Iran has been, for years now, supporting a network of proxy political and military organizations, Islamist organizations, which it has directed to make war on Israel as a part of a broader stated strategy by Islamic Republic of Iran for the destruction of Israel. And one of these client organizations was, of course, or is, of course, the Hamas organization, which chose to launch war against Israel from its Gaza area of control on October 7th, 2023. And subsequent to that attack and Israel's response to it, Iran then mobilized additional proxy organizations, most importantly the Hezbollah organization from Lebanon on October 8th, and then the Houthi movement from Yemen in November of 2023. And then in April 2024, Iran chose to launch a direct attack on Israel using ballistic missiles and drones. And it then launched an additional attack in October of that year. So what we can talk about is decades really now of a long war strategy of Islamic Republic of Iran against Israel, intending to result in Israel's destruction. Then the commencement of war by the proxies in October 2023, and then Iran's own entry into the war. And Israel's direct response and direct attack on Iran this month, followed by the American operation, is in response to this long campaign of aggression, intending to bring it to an end, or at least to drastically reduce the capacities of the Iranians to prosecute that strategy.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why hasn't there been, in your assessment, greater support for Iran among Gulf nations? What's the problem? What's holding them back?
Well, I think that the Gulf nations, at least in a way, maybe even all the Gulf GCC member states, perhaps with the exception of the Emirate of Qatar, are themselves deeply worried about the Iranian regional project in which Iran seeks to emerge as the hegemonic power in the Middle East, replacing what it sees as the declining power of the United States of America and its allies. The Gulf monarchies, fragile in their nature, are deeply concerned about this. They don't wish to come under the boot, so to speak, of Iranian domination. Now, of course, their response to the Iranian project is not always to challenge it directly in the way that Israel does, because they lack the capacity to do that. Often they try to accommodate themselves to the Iranian advance. But that doesn't mean to say that they like it. They would like to see the Iranians pushed back. They would like to see Iranian power reduced. They don't in any way see the Islamic Republic of Iran as a natural ally of theirs. On the contrary, Iran, regarding itself as a revolutionary power, would like to bring down the monarchies of the Gulf, were it to have its way. So in this sense, the Gulf monarchies have no reason at all to express solidarity with the Islamic Republic of Iran. And I don't think we should be surprised that they're not doing so.
Well, just to take this forward, this is an interesting point. Some say there are silent takers for America's bombing run in the Arab world. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, I have no doubt really that in the capitals of, for example, United Arab Emirates, and I would think probably of Saudi Arabia and certainly of Bahrain, there is a certain amount of quiet pleasure taken both in Israel's reduction of Iranian strength and capacity, and then, of course, in America's very decisive intervention against Iranian uranium enrichment capacity over the last couple of days. I have no doubt that the Gulf Arabs are very pleased to see Iranian power the Iranian wings being clipped, so to speak. After all, the Iranian proxy project is directed in its own way also against the Gulf Arab states. After all, the Iranians were active in Bahrain, which of course has a Shia Muslim majority and therefore is vulnerable to Iranian agitation. And the Revolutionary Guards Corps activities in Bahrain, trying to foment revolution in Bahrain, go back to the very first days actually of the Islamic Republic of itself. In fact, the Islamic Republic of Iran targeted Bahrain by these methods actually prior to its targeting of Lebanon and others, where these methods gained more traction and have gained it more fame. So the Gulf Arabs know that they are on the crosshairs, so to speak, of Islamic Republic of Iran, and for that reason they're happy to see it pushed back, but also in their wary nature, cautious about expressing those kind of sentiments in the public stage.
Well, thank you, Mr. Spire. I know that you're going to be joining us at 9 o'clock also, where we will explore this a little further, because viewers, as you know, the opposition is criticizing Prime Minister Modi, saying he's not taking a stand. Is that a valid criticism, viewers? Or is it once again opportunism? We come back to that. Don't go away. That's on part 2 of the Hard Facts. See you in just about 3 minutes. Well, viewers, we're just going to continue to roll because we have a hugely packed show. So we've decided to just move through seamlessly into our prime time show, the flagship show, The Hard Facts. Now, viewers, we expose the dangerous opportunism, the absolutely dangerous opportunism, and I have no hesitations in saying this, of the Congress party and its camp followers who have reduced Prime Minister Modi's principal neutrality in the Israel-Iran war to what is absurdly called moral surrender. This is what, viewers, the Congress party is saying, that there has been a moral surrender by the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, and you can see in the middle of your screens, they have put out a new video mocking the Prime Minister. And it is cut to a very popular Bollywood song. We'll bring you a glimpse of that. But this is the kind of stuff that they have released on social media for the consumption of the wider public, because they believe that the Prime Minister only advocating for what he says is de-escalation is a moral surrender, because the Prime Minister should actually be catching Trump by the scruff of his neck and telling him that he is wrong. That's what the Congress party wants the Prime Minister to do when Trump has sent B-2 bombers to flatten out the Iranian nuclear facilities. But first, let's take you over what the Prime Minister has said. Now, viewers, in his telephone call, which lasted about 30 minutes with the President of Iran yesterday, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "We reiterate our call for immediate de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward and for early restoration of regional peace, security and stability," unquote. Now remember, viewers, these three words that he has chosen, de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy, are pretty much the same words that have been used by Saudi Arabia, by Iraq, by the UAE, by even Qatar, viewers, that is no friend at this moment in time of the United States of America, or even of some other Gulf countries. But the Prime Minister, viewers, having used exactly the same language as Iran's West Asian brothers in the Arab world in the Gulf, is being called out for being weak, for surrendering India's national interest. This is what he's being accused of saying exactly the same thing as what Iran's Islamic brothers have said. Now, viewers, how is this even possible? Think about it. Either all the Islamic brothers of Iran that are bound by religion are also surrendering to the United States, or, viewers, the Congress party doesn't quite know what it is saying. Now, viewers, the Congress is not backing down. It has absurdly and stubbornly underlined from day one of even Operation Sindhur's non-kinetic ceasefire as the Prime Minister being weak and surrendering. And in this instance too, right after Trump sent in the B-2s, Congress absurdly calls this decision of Prime Minister to call for de-escalation, diplomacy, viewers, and dialogue as another instance of Prime Minister Modi not speaking up to criticize Trump and thereby surrendering to the United States. In fact, the Congress even released a meme on social media. I'll just show you that meme, but let me first quote to you what the Congress has been saying. The Congress says the government of India must demonstrate greater moral courage than it has so far. The Modi government has unequivocally neither criticized nor condemned the US bombing and Israel's aggression, bombings and targeted assassinations. It has also maintained a deafening silence on the genocide being perpetrated on the Palestinians in Gaza, unquote. This is Jairam Ramesh, Congress Member of Parliament and its chief spokesperson. And viewers, going with that is this video that they released today. Just catch a glimpse of this video. Okay, there it is, viewers, in the middle of it. I had asked for that video to be actually put in the stack, but it is in very poor taste. So I'm actually debating whether we should even play it out, viewers. I don't think we should play it out. It's in very poor taste. You probably get the drift of that particular line that the Congress is pitching in the middle of your screens through just the visuals. I think we just leave it at that. The Congress Party's viewers stand doesn't just reek of ignorance, but it's also a deliberate distortion. Let's be clear, no one of any consequence is standing with Iran. Even the European Union, which is not exactly well disposed to Trump, even that has singled out Iran for blame. Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the EU, has come out and said, quote, Iran is the principal source of regional instability. Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Israel has the right to defend itself, unquote. So viewers, this is the EU stand. Iran's own so-called brother Islamic nations have withheld unconditional support. In fact, viewers, they're going out of their way in some ways or the other to backstab Iran. They're not even neutral. Lebanon, for example, blocks the depleted Iranian jihadist proxy Hezbollah from taking action against Israel. They have told Hezbollah, do not, on the behalf of Iran, strike across the border in Israel. Syria, Ahmed al-Shara, after toppling pro-Iran Assad regime, has been negotiating a deal to recognize Israel, viewers. Can you believe it? Complete somersault. Jordan directly intercepts Iranian missiles. It doesn't allow Iranian missiles to hit Israel. Saudi Arabia provided key intelligence against Iran and overflight rights to US warplanes. In fact, MBS, or Mohammed bin Sultan, the young crown prince, has come out and said that Ayatollah Khamenei is the Middle East or West Asia's dictator, Hitler. He's called him Hitler, viewers. Pakistan recommends Trump for Nobel Prize and offers US the use of air-based and actionable intelligence. All these countries have backstabbed Iran. Clearly, the Congress is expecting India to do what even Islamic nations won't, which is to back Iran blindly. Worse, its sympathy for Iran is driven by compulsion, not any appreciation of the hard facts. Iran is no hard and fast friend of India. And here are some hard facts. We always bring you the hard facts on this show so you can very get close to the facts, to the truth. The UPA in September 2005 voted with 20 other nations, including, I am underlining the word including, USA, for an IAEA resolution against Iran's nuclear weapon program. Can you believe it, viewers? That same Congress today is telling Modi to stand up to America. Why? Because America has gone in and done exactly what the IAEA perhaps wanted it to do back in time in 2005 when the UPA was in power. Can you believe it, viewers? Congress forgets that Iran voted in the OIC Kashmir Contact Group backing right to self-determination for Kashmiris. So basically, viewers, Iran has backed the balkanization of India. Congress has forgotten. Sonia Gandhi is writing editorials in the newspapers. And you know what she has done, viewers? She's talked about Iran's pro-India stance right up till 1994 and forgotten the rest. The rest she has left out of that article. So I am bringing those fact checks out, viewers. The Congress has even overlooked June 26, 2017. There you can see it. A statement by Ayatollah Khamenei, who said, quote, everyone should openly support the people of Yemen, Bahrain, Kashmir, unquote. What is going on in these other regions, viewers? A massive reprisal against the ruling establishment. So Iran backs the right to self-determination and the right of Kashmiri so-called malcontents, alienated Kashmiris, to wage war against India. Congress ignores that its own MP Shashi Tharoor has branded Prime Minister Modi as a prime asset for India. Viewers, he has done that today again. In an op-ed piece he has written for the Hindu newspaper, saying that the Prime Minister should actually deserves greater support for his post-Operation Sindoor diplomatic outreach. These are not my words. These are Mr. Tharoor's words. And viewers, the ultimate irony is this, that the Congress institutionalized non-alignment in diplomacy as a moral doctrine symbolizing strategic autonomy. And today, when the Prime Minister is exercising strategic autonomy, the Congress has a problem. So when the Congress accused Prime Minister Modi of inaction or moral surrender, it is not holding him accountable, viewers. It is not holding the Prime Minister to account. It is exposing its own political compulsions and geopolitical ignorance. And I want to open this panel out tonight, viewers, because we have a good panel to take this conversation forward. And I want to first begin with one fundamental expert question to Jonathan Spire, who was just here with us a little while back. Jonathan Spire, thank you very much. And the question that I have to ask you is that even the Western democracies, most of them, and as a collective, the EU, for example, led by Ursula von der Leyen, described Iran as a, quote, principal source of regional instability, unquote. Why is this the case?
Well, yes, I think that if we think about what we were talking about earlier, about the proxy project of the Iranians, it's worth paying a bit more attention to what that looks like. Basically, Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, over the last decades, have developed a kind of methodology and praxis for the subversion of neighboring states, in which they establish or identify an Islamist paramilitary organization, and then they build it up to a high level of strength, finance it, train it, and turn it into an instrument of the foreign policy of Islamic Republic of Iran. This has had a deeply subversive and destabilizing effect on a whole number of regional contexts. The Palestinian arena is one, in which, for example, Israel has a kind of de facto cooperation with the dominant nationalist movement, Fatah, even if it does not have a political meeting of minds with it. But it is the Iran-supported Islamist element, Hamas and Islamic Jihad, which has launched war and now brought enormous suffering to people on both sides. Or if we think of Lebanon, once again, the Lebanese Hezbollah organization, directly established by Revolutionary Guards back in 1982, has been responsible actually for the destruction of Lebanon. Lebanon is today a failed state, which has defaulted on its national debt, which no longer has a functioning banking system or a workable governance system in many levels. So, yeah, the net result of the arrival of or establishment of an Iranian proxy organization in any given state, it appears, will be the erosion and even eventual collapse or fragmentation of governance in the state in question. So I think I very much agree with the statement made by Ursula von der Leyen.
Okay, so any nation, I'm asking you, so any nation with a principled foreign policy outlook wouldn't be leaping to support Iran. That's what you're saying.
I mean, I think it's very interesting to note that Iran in the region doesn't really have any allies. What it had or has is proxies and clients. The only state ally Islamic Republic of Iran ever had in the Arabic-speaking world was the Assad regime in Syria. I might say the late and unlamented Assad regime in Syria. So yeah, Iran doesn't really do allies. It does proxies and clients. That's what it tries to build. I think any state worthy of the name, which wished to preserve its own sovereignty and its own authority within its borders, would need to be very careful before entering into any kind of alliance or friendship with Islamic Republic of Iran. And I note that even Iran's global backers, or the countries with which it closely associates itself globally, which would be, of course, Russia and People's Republic of China, even these countries are not offering it unwavering support for its regional subversion or for its war against Israel. They're trying hard to stay out of it. So even those countries which find it germane or useful to have close relations with Iran are apparently very wary, nevertheless, of many aspects of the regime's policy.
Wow. Jonathan Spire, thank you. I'll come back to you in just a few moments. But here, viewers, in India, you have a bunch of Iran huggers, Aman ki Asha wale, who want us to support Iran unwaveringly because they call it otherwise a moral surrender. So even China and Russia don't. Pakistan, though, of course, has stabbed Iran so badly in the back that If it looks at itself in the mirror, it will see 25 knives sticking out of its back. But of course, the Congress wants us to hug Iran. There are Kashmiris who are running around in the streets protesting that India is not taking a more strident pro-Iran position, viewers. Nikhil Jain. I mean, the Congress party should be a little ashamed of itself, shouldn't it? I mean, what kind of a political party is this? Not only have I exposed it with hard facts, but it is backing a country that not only subverts the interests of its neighbors, but also backs the balkanization of India by backing the right to self-determination of the Kashmiri people. And this is Ayatollah Khamenei saying this, the man who is still in power there, and you, in the Congress ecosystem...
Now please respond.
No, what are you going to respond? You should be apologizing. So tell
why
me,
am I on the debate if I'm not allowed
I'm
to
asking
respond?
you, why shouldn't you be apologetic? Why shouldn't you be
posing.
apologetic for backing a nation? I'm asking you a question. Tell me,
Rahul,
why
I'm
should
sorry,
you
you
not
can't
be
start a debate
apologetic?
by asking a panelist to apologize.
Why
Let
not?
me
I
make
can
my
start by
point.
asking you,
You
should
may
you
or
be
may not agree with
apologizing?
it.
Let me ask you an open-ended
Absolutely
question.
not.
Should you be
Absolutely not.
apologizing for asking the Indian government to unwaveringly support Iran?
First
And
of all,
releasing
nobody
these
is asking.
videos?
First of all, nobody has asked the Indian government to unwaveringly support Iran.
Should I
Yes,
read out?
Should I read out?
Are you going to twist these words of Sonia Gandhi?
No,
hang on. No, I've had enough of these liars. No, one second. No, just a minute. No, on this question, because I don't lie, and I'm going to read out. No, one second. I'll come back to you. One second. I want to read out what Jairam Ramesh has said, viewers. This is it. So then how can you say that no one is asking us to unwaveringly back Iran? How can you say this?
Unwavering is the word that I'm talking about. Unwavering is the word that I'm talking about.
Okay,
yes,
viewers, I'll tell you the exact words. One second. I'll tell you the exact words. You can take it to mean whatever. 1 minute. Just give me 30 seconds. I'll come right back to you, Mr. Nikhil Jain. Let me refresh the memory of the viewers. Why am I using this term unwavering? Because, viewers, I have no other word in the dictionary to describe what Jairam Ramesh wants us to do in the tone in which he's admonished the government. So let me read out this quote. The government must demonstrate greater moral courage than it has so far. The Modi government has unequivocally neither criticized nor condemned the US bombing and Israel's aggression, bombings, and targeted assassinations. It has also maintained a deafening silence on the genocide being perpetrated on the Palestinians in Gaza. Now, viewers, what are the words? It is neither unequivocally neither criticized nor condemned. To do what?
Condemn the attack.
So what does that mean? That means extending unwavering support to Iran. What does that mean?
Rahul, nobody is asking you to unequivocally, unwaveringly support Iran. We are asking the government to condemn these attacks.
Jairam Ramesh has said it in not so many words. Fine, he's not used the word unwavering.
Rahul, can I please make my point?
Go ahead.
Can I please make my point?
Go ahead, sir. Please, go ahead.
So the point that I'm trying to make is that, first of all, let's look at the fact that India does have strong diplomatic relations with Israel. We do import weapons from them. We also have a strong diplomatic relation with Iran. We have been importing oil from them, despite many sanctions. Let's not forget that Iran is the same country that blocked Pakistan while Pakistan tried to try to pass a resolution in the OIC for getting sanctions against India for our own nuclear program. So it's not like Iran has not been a strong strategic partner in the past. Of course, Israel has also been a good strategic partner in the past, especially post the Kargil war. Post the Bajpayee era, during the Bajpayee era, that partnership strengthened. Nobody is going to deny that. But let's look at the facts here right now. The International Atomic Energy Commission does independently look at the nuclear facilities in Iran. And so far, they have not said that Iran is developing a nuclear weapon.
One second. Mr. Nikhil Jain, 1 second. I don't care about all of that. I don't care about all of that. 1 second. Just 1 second. Just take a step back. Take a step back. We are on the point. No, hang on. We are on one specific point.
Yes.
We're on one specific point. Why are you criticizing Mr. Modi for today taking a very balanced view by suggesting that there are three Ds?
He's not taking a view.
Ds.
The problem is he's not taking a view.
He's called for diplomatic. He's called for diplomatic negotiations, de-escalation.
The Prime Minister doesn't say anything.
And dialogue.
See, the problem is the Prime Minister and the Indian government does not come out strongly on things that matter.
Okay.
When you have President Trump telling the world that I did the ceasefire, the Prime Minister is staying silent on it. when you have when you have Israel and the US attacking nuclear facilities in Iran against all norms of international law and order, you require at least a condemnation from India, which has been a strong strategic partner.
Okay, just stay there 1 second.
Iran.
I want you
That's
to compare the
I'm
Prime
trying to
Minister's
make.
statement, viewers, and I'll open this up. You see, viewers, look at how they turn
You're not letting me complete.
the change the goalposts. One
That's how
second,
you
one
want to
second,
carry
one
on.
second. He says, we haven't taken a condemnatory line. Now, viewers, let me just read out. Saudi Arabia. It's a Muslim country, viewers. It is in the OIC. It considers itself a brother.
Should we puppet
Islamic.
what
Just
Saudi
1
Arabia
second.
does?
I'm just.
Should
1
we be
minute, please.
puppeting what Saudi
1
Arabia
second.
does? Why
What
do you
does
want to
Saudi
puppet
Arabia
with
say?
Saudi Arabia?
What does Saudi Arabia say? Kingdom expresses the need to exert all efforts to exercise restraint, de-escalate, and avoid escalation. Viewers, this is exactly what the Prime Minister is saying. But no, the Congress wants us to even go further than Saudi Arabia, further than Qatar, further than Iraq, further than even Pakistan. Kyun? Viewers, have you ever asked yourself? Because there are some votes. There are some 10 votes that they need to get from a particular community that they think will back.
No, it's not about this community.
Of course
this
it is.
community,
Let's
that
cut to the
matters.
chase.
No, it is not,
Let's
it is
cut
not.
to the chase.
Rahul,
Let's
you
always
cannot
cut to the chase.
take from the lens of everything that is communal.
It is
Let's look at
completely
things
true.
from a foreign policy
It is
perspective.
completely
No, it is
true,
not.
sir.
No, it is
It
not.
is
Let's
completely
look at
true.
things from
A
foreign
country
policy
that
perspective.
supports the
You are
Hamas
asking us
and
to
the
take the same
Hezbollah,
line as Saudi
both
Arabia,
terror
a puppet state of the
organizations.
United States.
Okay.
Do we want Donald Trump to run a foreign policy or do we want an independent policy? We've always had an independent policy. Why can we not have it continue? That is the important point that we're raising. Iran has Chabad port. And let me remind you, Chabad ports, our strategic cooperation with Iran vis-a-vis the Chabad port started in 2003 during a BJP government. It strengthened and intensified during the Modi era, and I applaud the government for that. The government should condemn these unsanctioned attacks by Donald Trump. Donald Trump did not get a sanction from the US Congress to initiate actions that can very well result in a war. He's being criticized right, left, and center, including from his own party within the United States. Israel had attacked Iran without giving to the world any
done?
proof that the Iran is close to having a nuclear weapon.
Are you now
NIA
done?
has said that once these
Sir,
facilities have been attacked,
sir, are you
no
now
nuclear
done?
radiation has been
Are
found,
you
which
now
is to
done?
suggest that nuclear weapons were not
Viewers, look at these people. You see, the Chabad
People
port
who
deal.
care about the
Okay,
country and its
please,
independent foreign
sir,
policy.
sir, please. I know how much you care. The point is, viewers, look at the Chabad port. It's as if, if the Ayatollah is there, then only the deal will go through. If someone else comes, the deal will be junked. What is wrong with these people, viewers?
Are we talking about
I mean,
regime change
diplomacy
now?
with a
Because
foreign
US has
country
said
is
that
a
they don't want
continuous
regime
affair.
change.
Are they saying that a kleptocratic regime run by a rabid mullah who imprisons 50% of his population is better? A person who does exactly what Pakistan is doing, and you've heard Jonathan Spire. He's got no skin in this game. He's saying that he's an Israeli.
skin in the game.
Sir,
He's
there are
an
many
Israeli. He has
Israelis.
skin
Do
in
you
the
know? Is this person so absolute? Just like there are many Indians, sir, who hate Modi, there are many Israelis who also don't quite like their own prime minister. Grow up, sir.
No.
Your identity is everything. I told you, viewers, it always comes down to identity for the Congress party. Identity is everything. Israeli hoga to khatarnak hi hoga. He must be anti-Muslim. इनकी यही सोच है, viewers. This is their brains. This is their mental. This is their mentality, viewers. This is their mentality. If you're an Israeli, if you're a Hindu, you must hate. If you're a Hindu, you must hate Muslims. If you're an Israeli, you must hate Muslims. If you're a Muslim, you must hate, viewers. Everything that is everything that is about 1 second. Everything that is about the BJP, the RSS, the Sangh. If you're a Muslim, you must hate them. This is the binaries in which these people operate, viewers. Dr. Ranganathan, what do you make of this person's statement who says an Israeli is saying this, so it must not be true?
That is not what I said. What I said is that he does have skin in the game. That's
he
all
doesn't
that
have
I said.
skin. What skin? He's a Britisher. He's a British Israeli person.
And an Israeli.
So what? He's a British citizen. What skin does he have in the game except for the truth, which you can't bring yourself? What are you of the Iranians?
That's a lie.
What are you of the Iranians? Excuse me.
Iranians have been a strategic partner.
Just a minute. They will continue to be strategic partners, sir. Whether Ayatollah is there or not there, whether they have nuclear weapons or they don't have nuclear weapons, how does that change? Explain to me.
Even the US is not talking about a
Dr.
regime change,
Ranganathan,
so
please.
let's
This
not
man will just completely dominate everything and not let anybody else speak because he has zero arguments. Zero.
Good evening. Good evening, Rahul. You've given 11 minutes to my good friend, Mr.
Sorry
Jain.
about that. I regret.
No, it's fine. No problem at all. Good evening to him and to my fellow panelists. First of all, can I just say that I now realize I have needlessly been self-deprecating on geopolitical matters, saying I'm a layman. If the developments of the last week are anything to go by, I think I'm as much of an expert as the next person. On Friday debate, I called out Trump's bluff of 2 weeks' notice for his attack on Iran. And I also said that if he attacks Iran, it would be just what Putin wants. Both predictions have come true given Medvedev's yesterday's tweets. The other advantage of allaying your fears on being an expert is that you can profess conspiracy theories with gay abandon. So here is mine. Rahul, if I was an evil dictator aiming to protect my nuclear facility from America, I would dig 300 feet underground in a remote location A, then tunnel 300 kilometers horizontally to reach a spot 300 feet beneath a populated city at location B, where I would build the nuclear facility. Then I would allow America to bomb location A and let the world believe my nuclear facility has been destroyed. But then I'm not an evil dictator. Anyhow, coming back to the nub of the issue, 4 brief points. Number 1, let's be very honest. Iran is anti-India, especially on Kashmir. But Congress thinks a nation's foreign policy can be run through the lens of domestic appeasement of its vote banks. This is not only juvenile, Rahul, it is dangerous. But that is what the Congress has been doing historically. Do you remember in 1971 when most of our Arab friends, if not all, ditched us during the Indo-Pak war? It was Israel's Golda Meir who gave us the crucial ammunition and hoped that Indira Gandhi would support Israel. But we ditched Israel 2 years later in its war. Secondly, this is coming not from me but from the Israeli ambassador. Why has Sonia Gandhi, who has asked Modi to condemn Iran, till today not condemned October 7th atrocities by Hamas on Israel? She's been silent on that for more than 2 years. Number 2, for all those Indian Muslims, especially in Kashmir, pouring onto the streets claiming Muslim genocide and abusing Israel and the USA and some stomping on Israeli and American flags with their feet, I want to ask, why don't they stomp on Chinese flags? Knowing that China has interned 1.5 million Muslims in concentration camps and is feeding them pork and forcibly sterilizing them, and that China has demolished 700 mosques in the last 5 years? Cat gets their tongue and molten turns their spine when it comes to their master China. Be that as it may, we have to balance our response to this war with what is in our best interest, like we have in the Russia-Ukraine war, continuing to buy Russian oil despite American pressures. We have since diversified our oil resources, although Hormuz, through which India imports 2 million barrels of oil daily, remains a concern, but Mr. Hardeep Puri has made encouraging statements. Number B, we had persuaded America in the first Trump regime to keep Shabar port off the sanction list with deft diplomacy. Maybe that will go on as well. Number 3, America attacking Iran is just what Russia wanted. It can now leverage its own Ukraine war with US-Iran war by supplying Iran with weapons to keep Middle East burning. B, the US strikes will spike oil prices, bolstering Russia's economy. And C, a weakened Iran reduces its regional influence, allowing Russia to fill the vacuum, especially after losing Syria's Assad regime. 4, very briefly, let's hope, despite Trump's desire, America does not orchestrate a regime change in Iran, because Rahul, past evidence suggests any regime change fashioned by America has led to America talking to that very regime after a decade. Look at Afghanistan. Same Taliban are back. Look at Syria. The man on whose head America had put a bounty of $10 million is today shaking hands with Trump. Same with Iraq, same with Libya. So let's hope America is not thinking of a regime change in Iran. And let's not talk about American hypocrisy, all right, of denying Iran nuclear bomb while facilitating Pakistan with one. And by the way, Pakistan has nominated Trump for another Nobel Peace Prize for making it now the only rogue Islamic state with a nuclear bomb. Just 10 seconds. All in all, Rahul, an unstable Middle East will help Russia and will force India's hand for its energy needs direly. We are living in interesting times indeed.
Yeah, that's all fine. The point here is very, very simple, and General Bakshi is here with me. General Bakshi, the last I checked, the Congress party wants a two-state solution. It wants Israel and Palestine to live happily ever after. It says that we are supporting this two-state solution. So does the NDA support a two-state solution, General Bakshi. But Iran doesn't. Iran supports only a single-state solution. They say we don't want to see any Israelis. Exterminate them all, these Jews. Who are they to live in Palestine? Now, I can't understand, sir, a party with such deep love for humanity, and Sonia Gandhi writes so ebulliently about it in her op-ed piece, would support Iran that wants a single state solution? General Bakshi, what kind of political party is this? Is it a party full of Jew-hating anti-Semites? General Saab.
You know, Rahul, the simple fact is Iran had no business to say that it would exterminate Israel, wipe it off the face of this earth, and then proceed to make nuclear weapons. You are then posing an existential threat to the nation state of Israel, which has been recognized by the United Nations, by the globe, by India, and by almost every country in the world, less Iran. You can't hold out threats like that, threats of extermination, not threats that they will try and convert it into a two-state or a triple-state solution, etc. Nothing. Extermination, wiping it off the face of the planet. You make threats like that, and then you proceed to make nuclear weapons. What is Israel to assume? You made declaratory statements at the highest level. It's not that you ask some street rabble-rouser or politician to say that, local politician in a village panchayat election. It is at the highest level of the state that these statements, these threats are coming. I thought this was incorrect, politically, morally, geopolitically, it was dangerous. Because Israel is not a state, unlike India, that is ahinsatmak in its dealings.
Yes.
They have suffered heavily. We also have had a Hindu Holocaust, but they had their Jewish Holocaust and they have learned their lessons. They have learned their lesson. They are not prepared to take it lying down anymore. They have always given it back, which is a model that we must emulate. About time that we emulated that model, you know. And now that they have given it back, there are a whole lot of people crying, uncle, oh my God, why have that country been hit? That country asked for it. And if you make such statements, well, then you better be prepared to fight.
Yeah.
And if in a fight you turn out second best, it's not the fault of the other side, right?
Yes.
Yes, I totally agree that Iran, we have had fairly good points of convergence with Iran, especially the Chabahar port, especially our outreach to Afghanistan and Central Asia, and especially, when we were supporting the Northern Alliance along with Iran, we've had points of convergence.
Yeah, and it's not as if, General Bakshi, that we are going against the Iranians. We're just advising both sides.
I don't know. Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Just give me a minute.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is, right now, if somebody said India is well positioned to negotiate a ceasefire or to have an end to this conflict, which is what our Prime Minister has said, which is what every single Arab country is asking for.
Yes.
If there is one country which is well placed to, to sort of bring about a ceasefire in this region, it is India.
That's right.
I'm very well aware that Donald Trump is hell-bent on the Nobel Peace Prize. He's trying to solve every single conflict. I'm afraid he can't solve this one because he just bombed Iran.
Yeah.
So he can't mediate between Iran and the rest. India can.
Yes.
I think rather than wasting our energies on the Russia-Ukraine war, where Donald Trump wants his Nobel Peace Prize, let him have it.
Yeah.
Let him have it. But this is where you can intervene. And if the Congress had said, yes, we want India to intervene, that would have made some sense.
Absolutely.
Given that we are able to talk to both sides.
Yes,
that
but they want us to go and spit on the face of the United States
Iran?
and criticize Israel. I think this is daftness personified, because just imagine, viewers, all the munitions we use to neutralize Pakistan came from Israel. And if we go and spit on the face of Israel, as the Congress party wants presumably for us to be doing, then will they supply us these weapons? Because we'd be done for. And I now want to bring in the National Conference spokesperson and ally of the Congress Party, the Great India Alliance. Abid Wani Sahab is here with us. Abid Wani Sahab, I have two questions for you. Do you support the extermination of the Palestinian, the Israeli state from the river to the sea? Number one. And number two, do you believe that Hamas and Hezbollah are terror organizations? Just two questions, sir. I'm done.
Well, Rahul, in the premises of the debate, you mentioned many things. I think that were contrary to what the perspective now you reached out to. Speaking about Hamas and Hezbollah, and then again asking a national conference spokesperson what he supports. Well, Hamas was created by Israel, to add to your knowledge. The Israeli defense expert is here. It's unfortunate that it blowed up in their face in the Middle East. So now they are facing these repercussions right now. This was done by the Israeli regimes continuously by funding them through a Qatar NGO. So I don't want to get into that debate. I am here to protect the interests of my nation.
No, I'm asking you for that debate. It's a very germane question. Because you see, one second, I'll explain it to you. Maybe you haven't understood the place I'm coming from. You see, Pakistan does exactly this. It sponsors terror in other countries through non-state actors or proxies, as the strategic expert Jonathan Spire was telling us. So one of the reasons why a large number of Arab countries, even Pakistan, is not going out there and giving it unwavering support is because it is wary of what Iran does. Hezbollah, Hamas, etc. are all terror organizations. So do you want us to support a country that does exactly what Pakistan does, which is export terror in the region? Number one. If you don't believe they're terror organization, of course, that is something that you can tell me, and that's fine. Number two, I want to ask you, you yourself, Mr. Farooq Abdullah himself is a great humanist, and he says that, look, there should be a two-state solution. Congress says it also. I mean, the great Nehru, who had a bleeding heart, that you needed to actually walk around with a sponge and mop up the blood that was flowing out of his heart, because you see, it was red in color, and he was so in love with China, which bled red. You see, India team, bleeds blue. He used to bleed red. So, viewers, the point is, they love the fact that the Palestinians must also get a home and the Israelis must also get a home, and there should be a two-state solution. But Iran doesn't believe this. Iran said there should only be a single-state solution and all Israelis should be killed from river to the sea. Do you support this? Yes or no? I'll go home after this.
I am not here to represent what the Iranian speculations or
but you want us to back Iran. But you want us to back Iran.
Rahul, don't interrupt me. You have called me on the panel. This being on your panel doesn't help me politically. Okay. So kindly bear with me. So as far as the interests of our nation is concerned, I would rather request you, to have a deep search regarding what our foreign policy should be. It should not depend on what Saudi Arabia is doing, what Pakistan is doing, what China is doing, or what Russia is doing. Apart from all these facts, if you don't stand with Iran, if you isolate Iran completely, I'm not saying we should outrightly reject any calls for dialogue, diplomacy, and de-escalation and side with a particular party. I am saying what happens if we isolate Iran.
We're not isolating Iran, sir. We are just saying to Iran and to Israel.
Let me explain what we lose if we isolate Iran.
But we are not isolating. You got the wrong end of the premise.
I am of the opinion that you want to speak yourself and don't let others speak.
Wani Saab
is making for 10 minutes, yaar.
Who is isolating Iran? No one is isolating Iran. Have you not heard what the Prime Minister has said? The Prime Minister has said, let's de-escalate, let's have diplomatic engagement between Iran and Israel.
Why I'm saying, why Prime Minister is saying this. Because if we isolate Iran, we are going to pay a heavy price. That's why the Prime Minister said that we want to carry on with the diplomacy, advocate de-escalation between the two parties.
But I'm not saying we should isolate Iran.
You are not saying that. But
then where's the debate coming in from? Yeah, isolation mein baat hi kyun aa rahi hai?
Then the very premises of the
my
debate
point is, sir,
asked him
Yes, one second, Doctor. I'll just come to you. I just want to explain a couple of things to our viewers.
I just want to make a sweeping comment.
Can you, Mr. Wani, let me ask you this question. Will you deny that in the contact group, which includes Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Pakistan, and others meeting on the 2023 UN General Assembly, they issued a joint communique demanding India reverse its August 2019 measures in Kashmir and allow a plebiscite. Do you disagree with this?
I disagree with any third-party mediation.
Okay, so then viewers, why should we back wholeheartedly Iran? I'm not saying go to war with Iran.
The thing is that it's not about why we should back Pakistan. Why should we back Israel also? Why not this
we
question?
are not. We are just saying in this context of this.
And just to add the knowledge,
Sir,
Mr.
I am only saying that even not backing either of the two is a very...
About anti-Semitism and what G.D. Bakshi said regarding the Holocaust, I must remind him that Holocaust with the Jews was a European Christian phenomena, and they are giving it back in the Middle East, and that's why all this conflict is going on.
Please, sir, please. Let's not. Let Dr. Ranganathan also come in. This is rather rich. This is rather rich coming from somebody in Kashmir who basically has never brought to justice any of those viewers who went after and spawned the exodus of Hindus. I mean, come on. I'm one of them, sir. I'm a sufferer. I'm half a Kashmiri Hindu. I'm half a Kashmiri Hindu. I lost my lands. I lost my lands. I lost a lot. I lost my roots. I lost my land. I lost a lot, sir. I lost my... No, 1 second. Have you ever compensated me? Have you compensated me, sir? In what way have you compensated me? We come to Pahalgam, you shoot us? What nonsense. Okay, Doctor, go ahead.
Can I please? Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sorry to say this, but I've been listening to Mr. Vani for the last 6 minutes. It is people like Mr. Vani who give the entire community of 200 million Indian Muslims a terrible name. He was asked a very simple question, the answer to which would have finished in 5 seconds. He was asked whether Hamas, a terror organization that murdered 1,400 innocent Jews and microwaved babies alive, was a terror organization. He refused to say so. This is the problem. That is why. Now, please.
He says he doesn't see them. End of debate. If you don't see them as a terror organization, then it's okay. The Congress Party viewers. Okay, 1 second. Lower everyone's fader. The Congress Party. Just very quickly to note this, viewers. You see, the Congress Party today, viewers, the Congress Party wants to support wholeheartedly India. Must yell and scream at Trump, wholeheartedly support Iran. Iran, viewers, that believes, number one, in a one-state solution. It basically completely rejects the Indian point of view from Nehru, which is a two-state solution. The Congress wants us to stand with a genocidal state, viewers, that hates Jews. This is the Congress mentality. Why, viewers? Because it appeals to a certain, they think, vote bank. Even the vote bank has rejected them, viewers. Number two, let me tell you this, second point. It wants us to back unilaterally a state that has time and again in the recent past, and I've just named this 2023 instance, back the balkanization of India by going out and saying that there should be a plebiscite and the right to self-determination of Kashmir should be upheld. Can you believe it, viewers? Can you believe it? I fail to believe that there are Indian Muslims who support a plebiscite in Kashmir. I will eat my shoes with salt and pepper if someone comes and says that to me on my face, that I as a Muslim support the balkanization of India. I don't believe it, viewers. I refuse to believe it. I want to move on because it's a kind of same theme, viewers. India today is shocked as it turns out that the butchers of Pahalgam were given shelter by local Kashmiris prior to the dastardly targeting of Hindus in Baisaran. You remember those pictures in the middle of your screens, viewers? The 3 individuals who did this were sheltered by 2 locals in Kashmir, they're twin brothers. Here's what the NIA shared with the media. 2 arrested locals accused of knowingly sheltering the Pahalgam butchers. Twin brothers hid the 3 Pahalgam attackers at a seasonal dhok or hut prior to the attack. The safe house was barely 3 kilometers from Baisaran, the site of the carnage. The locals have confirmed the identities of the 3 terrorists who are all Pakistanis. Hashim Musa is an ex-para commando of Pak Army Special Forces. Musa was part of 2 strikes in October 2025 at Gagangir, Gandarbal and Bhuta Pathri. The revelations go some distance in cementing the view among some that tourists from the mainland who place their faith in their fellow citizens and travel to Kashmir, spending their hard-earned money, are seen as nothing more than disposable wallets. Ironically, those that have been at the forefront of singling out the Modi government for its failure to anticipate the attacks are now silent when locals have been found out as the abettors of Hindu killers. Viewers, I want to open this up and I want to begin with Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, how do you react to this story? This is shocking to me. You know, I thought that, the people who want to kill Hindus by name would have no address in Kashmir. But this brings back so much trauma. And I wonder if these, on the right of your screens, these candle marches, etc., if there's any real, pathos behind this. Is it just fake?
It is total pretense, but what do you expect? Just 5 minutes ago, you had a panelist who's still there in your panel who refused to call Hamas as a terror organization. Now, as I keep saying, Kashmir is a game of snakes and ladders. The ladders sometimes are provided by Pakistan, the snakes by Indians. And this is absolute in evidence right now with this, what NIA has done. Now, you look at the audacity. You have these people who are having candlelight marches, who are saying what has happened is a dastardly attack and no local is involved in this. Now, set aside the fact that more than 15 locals have been investigated by the NIA. 2 of them are directly implicated. As I keep saying, we are watching the hyena outside our home, but ignoring the elephant in the room. Please tell me, when that terrorist Nasrallah died, who I'm sure 2 of the panelists out here would not even call him a terrorist, weren't there protest marches all around Kashmir?
Yes.
Weren't there protest marches right now when Burhan Wani, I don't know whether he's the relation of one of the namesake on your panel, when he was on his funeral, tens of thousands of people, tens of thousands of Kashmiris gathered at the funeral of a terrorist, Burhan Wani. Ask him to say whether he was a terrorist. I'm sure he would say Burhan Wani was not a terrorist. This is the problem.
I'm sure he would say he's a terrorist. I don't believe that. I think he'll
ask
say,
him.
Mr.
Ask
Wani,
him.
was Burhan Wani at least a terrorist? Okay, Hamas is not a terrorist organization in your book, but I'm sure, Mr. Wani, you will agree that Burhan Wani was one.
Well, I have no doubt about that, but I think on the panel, Mr. Ranganathan has doubt about
Was he a terrorist or not?
Labeling me as NC spokesperson as a terrorist. I think this is the biggest irony our country is right now.
What is he saying? Who has labeled you as a terrorist?
No, he never said that. He just said that is it possible.
I want him to apologize, Mr. Rahul. This is not
No,
what
he
the
didn't
debate
say
is.
that. He said
He
that.
has to apologize. He can't label me as a terrorist.
He didn't label you as a terrorist. He said you were a sympathizer.
No, he didn't see that.
No, he said that you're a sympathizer, that you don't condemn the Hamas. So there is a possibility that you may not even think that Burhan Wani is a terrorist, but you have clarified.
I think you should have modicum amount of.
So I want to ask you. So I want to ask you.
अंग्रेजी समझ में नहीं आती तो किस पे
This is
कश्मीरी
the
में बोल
irony.
दूं?
Okay, one second. Mr. Wani,
I can speak in whichever language you want.
Mr. Wani, I want to
कौन से
ask you a direct
मदरसा से
question.
पढ़ा
One minute,
बता
Dr. Ranganathan, 1 second. Mr. Wani, I want to ask you, General Bakshi is here, he served in Kashmir. Mr. Wani, why would any locals, knowingly they have said, knowingly harbor terrorists who want to kill Hindus? Is it because there are some locals in Kashmir who want to completely get rid of Hindus to turn it into an Islamic caliphate? Is that what is happening? What is happening? Explain to me. Why would they do it? Knowingly. They said they were not under any pressure, etc. Knowingly they did it.
Such logistical support or informers for the militants have been in J&K. I accept that. I accept the fact there has been support on the ground for the militancy. But labeling and generalizing and smearing all of the Kashmiri Muslims as people, who...
No one is doing it. I'm saying that there is a small minority.
I want to quote Farooq Abdullah here. Rahul, can I please quote Farooq Abdullah? Because this guy
Rahul, if this is the way the debate will go on...
No, let him finish. Let Mr. Wani finish and then you can quote him. Yes.
This is an irony. This man is always...
No, but I have to ask you, Mr. Wani, I have to ask you this question. You see, I get very worried when I see Kashmiris running on the streets, raising slogans in favor of someone like Nasrallah, who actually said that there should be jihad against India. He said it.
Well, the only thing that facilitates the support for organizations like Hezbollah is the central issue of Palestine that remains core at the heart of every Muslim. That's why the support on the ground
Can I come in
for
and
such
So,
explain
are
a
you
bit
saying,
about
sir, that the means justify the ends? Are you
Iran-
saying that the means justify the ends? Are you saying that we can support anybody as long as they justify the end, which is that we must liberate Palestine, so it can come at
Because I
any
was
price?
quoted wrongly.
You can't
know,
be
you
saying
should-
that.
you should know who is the aggressor and who is the oppressed.
No, that might be so,
Before-
but do you believe that a terrorist organization
that's
should
the
be
terminology, how
spawned?
you differentiate
No, so then
between a
you're
terrorist-
supporting a terror
between a
organization.
terrorist and a right? What?
No, so if you believe that we only support Mr. Nasrallah because he is fighting for Palestine, that means tomorrow you will support the Lashkar-e-Toiba because they say that we are fighting for Kashmir. So you are supporting terrorism.
Of
This
course.
is no way I'm going on this
Why
debate.
no way?
You are labeling me a terrorist. You are labeling me a
I'm not.
terrorist.
I'm just asking you.
Now
Is
the
this?
victim
I'm
would
asking
come.
you. I'm not labeled.
The only thing that remains core to every
But you
Muslim's
said-
heart is the.
No, for us, the core issue is Palestine. So whichever way you want to get Palestine, you will support it.
Rahul. Let's not bring
Okay.
Israel and Iran conflict home.
Rahul,
Let us stay
Rahul, I just-
Okay. Yeah.
Very
Yes,
briefly,
doctor.
because
Yeah.
my name was taken. It's so
Yeah.
easy to expose such charlatans. Number one, I reiterated facts. The facts was that terrorist Nasrallah's eulogy or funeral was attended by tens of thousands of Kashmiris.
Yes.
The
One
fact
leader,
is-
one member of parliament,
Yes.
Mr. Aga Rahula, from the National Conference, he supported Nasrallah.
Rahul, that's what I'm reiterating. We don't see him as a terrorist.
There you go, viewers.
There we go.
So
There we go.
tomorrow,
Yes,
Lashkar-e-Toiba for some. No wonder, viewers. No wonder they were
clear.
supporting Lashkar-e-Toiba. No
clear.
wonder they were supporting Lashkar-e-Toiba, some of these Kashmiris, because they don't see them as terrorists. QED. QED.
I won't support Lashkar-e-Toiba.
QED. No, you may not, but others are. You may not, but you yourself have said some people have.
You don't know.
You see, this is my problem.
Let me now quote his.
You
Let
don't
me
know
now quote
Palestine
his
and
supreme
Israel.
leader. Let
You
me
don't
now
know
quote
anything
his
about
supreme
the
leader,
conflict
not Khamenei but Farooq Abdullah. He said,
You know,
ये
I
370 हटाना
know,
चाहते हैं, ये हटाना
I
चाहते
want the
हैं,
same
ये
empathy.
हटा के दिखाएं.
Mr.
अल्लाह
Ranganathan, I want the
चाहे.
same
Now he's
empathy
so
and the
rattled.
same
Okay,
sympathy.
the point is General Bakshi. The point is General Bakshi. You can change the label. Okay. No one shouts, please. Okay. Let's not please shout. General Bakshi's waited his turn very peacefully. Show the elder some respect, please. He's a man in uniform. Please. Okay, Mr. Wani, relax. Calm down. Okay, calm down. Now, General Bakshi, they say that they don't see Nasrallah as a terrorist. Now, there are many who believe that Hafiz Saeed is not also a terrorist. He's fighting for the liberation of Kashmir. So, there will be many people who are sympathetic to that also. I'm not saying Mr. Wani is. I'm not. But there might be, because there are people who are giving them refuge. So, General G.D. Bakshi, what do you make of this? Why are they doing this?
Look, let's get one thing straight about terrorism. The United Nations has said unequivocally, no cause in the world justifies the use of terrorism as a tactic to achieve it. No cause in the world, that includes the cause of so-called Palestine or any other, justifies the use of terror as a tactic, terror that indiscriminately kills women and children, and this time it turned into a communal massacre. You killed fathers before their sons, you killed husbands before their wives, and you had the indignity of asking them to, recite the kalma or to, mention their religion or to take off their bloody trousers. That is what is unjustifiable by any stretch of the imagination. Any decent human being anywhere. The Quran Sharif, the Holy Quran, states very clearly, the killing of even one innocent is tantamount to the murder of humanity. Right? In a war, in a jihad, spare the lives of the women, the children, the old and the infirm.
So this I have
These
to
are
ask.
tenets from the Holy Quran.
If that is the case, General Saab.
And the first people to violate them are the terrorists.
Who
Now,
these people?
apropos the issue of support,
Yes.
local support in Jammu and Kashmir,
Yeah.
in the valley and elsewhere,
Yeah.
for terrorism and for Pakistani infiltrators, right?
Yes.
This support to start with was fairly high, right? But when the Pakistani foreign terrorists started coming in, and I have operated half my service life in Jammu and Kashmir.
Right.
They started misbehaving with the local girls. Initially, they used to have nikahs. They had come for 2 to 3 years, 10 years. They used to have nikahs. They used to leave the girls with babies and vanish across. So the locals started resisting. No more nikahs. Even the orders came from the Jihad Council.
Okay, so what's
no
the
more
point?
nikahs. Then they started forcing themselves on married women. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And how do you think we got intelligence? How do you think we got intelligence?
So they were
of that woman.
I understand.
The sons of that woman.
But my
would come
point
and tell
is,
us,
my
"Please
point
get
is,
him,
and I want
please
to bring
rescue
in
my mom."
No, but the point is, General Bakshi, my point
That is how
is
this support ended finally.
something has changed because Sheikh Amir, and I have to bring you in 1 second, Doctor. Sheikh Amir, what kind of mindset harbors people who want to kill innocent Hindus? Can you explain to me, sir? What kind of mindset is this?
Yes, Rahul, you're talking about mindset. You have made it like Hindus versus Muslims, Kashmiris versus non-Kashmiris, and Kashmiris were, protesting, candlelight protests, and saying that every Kashmiri who were protesting, they were kind of hand in gloves with the terrorists. And as far as you are concerned, when you say that locals, Kashmiris are, they support the terrorists. So out of 50, 60 lakh Kashmiris, you only found 2 people and you're only investigating. It's not yet proven. NIA has only arrested and they're investigating. Fine. Next, G.D. Bakshi was talking about these terrorists coming here and, they used to do nikah with Kashmiri local women. What is he saying? He's humiliating, defaming Kashmiri women? What kind of intelligence he's talking about? He has served here in Kashmir. Does that mean General Bakshi will talk like this? He will talk about our women, the Kashmiri Muslim women? This is intolerable. We cannot tolerate this. You are here.
No, excuse me.
You are
I
here
was there.
to create General
You
Bakshi.
asked the locals there.
I heard you.
Okay,
You
one
asked the locals
second.
there what happened.
Rahul, you are
One
here
second.
to create a perception.
You
One
checked
second,
the
one second.
newspapers of that era.
One second. Viewers.
No,
look,
what do you mean
no,
I
one
can't talk
second.
like this?
No,
No,
I'm
one
giving you
second.
facts.
General Saab,
This is
there is enough
unacceptable.
evidence to show that these terrorists used to enter the homes and at gunpoint do horrible things.
Now you asked about the mindset.
There are
Yes.
so many horrible things
Yeah.
done. Rahul,
So one
Rahul, we
second.
don't
But
support
my
terrorism.
question, see, this is a
We
very
are
clever
the
way.
sufferers more
One
than
second.
20,000
This is a very clever way of
Rahul,
Sheikh
more
Amir
than
changing.
20,000?
Yes,
More than 20,000,
yes,
30,000
sir.
have been killed by the terrorists.
I know, sir.
Whether
I know.
policemen,
Do you know how many?
army men,
Do you know how many
civilians,
Hindu
women,
Kashmiris?
children?
Do you know how many Hindu Kashmiris have been externed from the valley? Do you know? Should I give you the numbers? Anyhow,
You're only
viewers,
concerned
the fact
with
is, don't
the
show me
problem.
statistics.
Rahul,
Don't measure
I'm
one
very
death
good.
with another
Don't
death.
ask
Every
me.
death is condemnable.
Don't ask
Hindu
me
deaths,
anything.
Muslim
If
deaths,
you don't
all
have courage,
condemnable.
don't ask
My
questions.
point is not that. My point is, viewers, this.
Now you
And
asked
this-
about mindset.
Yeah, I asked him about mindset, and that's
let
the
me
thing.
answer. It is the same mindset. It is the same mindset that does not see Hamas as terror
That's right.
organization.
You see-
there's the same mindset.
Dr.
that attends
Ranganathan,
in
who
tens
are
of-
you? You want me to
It-
say,
it-
Mr.
it's the-
Ranganathan, you want me
it
to say
is
Hamas?
Now, why are you
I won't
interrupting?
say.
Do you also
I
see
won't
Hamas
say.
as friends?
Who are you?
Is
Who are
Hamas
you,
your
Dr.
friend also?
Ranganathan?
So
You are
why are you
saying
getting
every
so
idea of-
excited? Sheikh Amir, why are you
Are
getting
you
so
so
excited?
excited?
It's only a
Am I
question,
calling
it's a
you a
democracy,
Rahul,
we can ask a question.
Rahul,
No, 1 minute.
Let me respond.
Lower
Ranganathan.
everyone's faders. You see, viewers, tomorrow they ask you, do you support the RSS? Do you support Hindu right organization, blah, blah, blah. If you say yes, you become a militant in their book. If you ask them, do you support Nasrallah, you become an Islamophobe. This is the logic. Viewers, yes, they will support Nasrallah. Lots of people will come out with the same candles that they are holding. Same candle is used, viewers. Same candle. The National Conference Member of Parliament, can you believe it, viewers? A Member of Parliament, and nothing has happened to their National Conference leader. Nothing, zilch, zero. He supports Nasrallah. He's marching in the streets, supporting Nasrallah, a terrorist who says that I will wage Islamist jihad against India. He's dead now, thank goodness. That rotter. Thank goodness he's buried 6 feet under. Viewers. But you see, they couldn't bring themselves to condemn it, and they said, because for us, Palestine is the end, so we'll support anything and everybody. Similarly, there are people, viewers, who want Kashmir to turn into an Islamist republic, and they will say, we'll support anybody, even if it means supporting Lashkar-e-Toiba. That's why they were supporting these wretched butchers of Pahalgam. I leave it at this, viewers. You think about it. You think about it.
Presented by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
So that is the IAEA. Now, what kind of damage will only depend on the kind of intelligence that is gleaned. So we're going to wait for that. But they have prima facie agreed with Lieutenant Colonel, saying that, look, there has been significant damage. But the charge, Lieutenant Colonel Conricus, is that the NPT, the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty regime, or the Non-Proliferation Treaty regime, is being undermined as these strikes are undermining the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Authority. How do you respond to this? They're saying this is illegal, dangerous.
I think the NPT definitely has been undermined by the Islamic Republic. They've been building, trying to build a nuclear weapon while they are allegedly or officially a member of the NPT. And that's a gross, very cynical violation. The Iranian regime is a violation of the NPT. They're, playing this double game of lying to the world, conducting negotiations, not in good faith, and then running and investing tremendous resources at this clandestine nuclear weapons program. That's a violation of the NPT. And frankly, that I think it's the real threat to non-proliferation.
So you're turning this on its head. You're saying it's actually Iran that has violated the terms of the NPT and made them pretty much infructuous. But many are saying that the strikes with the US are against international law, that Trump himself has not taken permission of his own Congress, which is their parliament, and that he has ridden roughshod along with Israel over all sorts of international treaty obligations. There are also some who are saying that human rights violations are happening and that you should all be tried for war crimes, etc., etc. What's your response to these very hard-hitting indictments by some people?
I think it is a perfectly legal measure by the United States and, of course, by Israel to preempt weapons of mass destruction. There was very clear intel that Israel has, that it also shared with the US, that the Iranians were sprinting towards a bomb. And as such, what Israel did was to take preemptive action and followed suit by the Americans. So I think not only was it necessary, it was legal, it was the right thing to do. And with so many other cases in history, like in 1981 in Osirak, Iraq, and 2007 in Deir ez-Zor, Syria, Israel took preemptive action against nuclear weapons programs in the hands of tyrants and Muslim dictators. At the time, the same voices that you referred to, or similar ones, were speaking about international law and legality and other technicalities. But the bottom line is that Israel prevented proliferation in the Middle East by taking unilateral preemptive action. That's what we're seeing now in Iran in 2025. And at the end of the day, I think the world owes Israel a tremendous thank you for doing, as the German Chancellor said, the dirty work for the world.
Now I know that the Israelis have said that their mission is to degrade any potential that Iran might have to enrich weapons-grade uranium, plutonium, call it what you want to. Does that remain an objective? What is the next stage? How long will Israel continue its actions if Iran's nuclear capacity is degraded, as you claim, or that is the overwhelming assessment in Israeli circles? Why continue, sir?
Well, Israel needs to, of course, verify and see that the weaponization part of Iran's nuclear program is totally destroyed, and that has not been confirmed yet. And Israel also has an urgent need in terms of self-defense to undermine Iran's capacity to fire missiles at Israel. Just a few hours ago, Iran fired additional missiles towards Israel, and myself and millions of others were in bomb shelters for who knows the manyth time. Israel needs to take care of that threat. And Israel also wants to rid itself of Iranian terror proxies. These are the three clear outspoken goals that Israel has. And now I would say that time is more on Israel's side. For many years, time was on Iran's side, but Israel kind of flipped that situation on its head. And now time is on Israel's side because Iranian airspace is dominated by Israel. And Israel has the ability to act wherever, whenever it needs against Iranian military targets. The situation will be influenced very much by what the Iranian leadership decides to do next. They can continue to escalate by firing missiles at Israel and trying to do other things, or they can de-escalate and most probably saving their regime. If they continue to escalate, then I don't know where things may lead to. We may see a significant expansion of Israeli targeting to additional infrastructure in Iran, like national infrastructure that is both military and civilian, dual purpose, like oil refineries, gas refineries, national infrastructure, ports, etc. Those are targets that are available to Israel, that Israel so far has decided not to strike, but that could change.
This is News 18 Network.
Hello and welcome to Vantage on First Post. I'm Alison Lagrange. Let's get started. Donald Trump has joined the war against Iran, but Tehran isn't deterred. They have launched dozens of ballistic missiles at Israel, including their biggest missile yet. Meanwhile, the dust has settled on the US airstrikes at Fordow. Questions are being asked about the aftermath. Did the US destroy the nuclear site? Or were the Iranians prepared? Also, was Donald Trump's endgame? He is talking about making Iran great again. Should we see this as a declaration to topple the regime? We will also take a closer look at Iran's proxies, their weapons and their allies. Also on the show, embarrassment for Pakistan as their Nobel Peace Prize candidate bombs their neighbor. All this and more lined up. But first, the headlines. A suicide attack on a Damascus church in Syria kills at least 22 people. The incident took place during a packed service on Sunday. Syrian authorities have blamed the Islamic State terror group for the attack. This is the first such attack in the Syrian capital since Bashar al-Assad was ousted last December. Embattled Thai Prime Minister reshuffles her cabinet as a political crisis sparked by a leaked phone call threatens to topple her government. The Prime Minister has been in office for less than a year. Last week, her main coalition partner quit. Critics accuse her of insulting the army during a leaked call with a former Cambodian leader. In the Philippines, Vice President Sara Duterte responds to her impeachment trial summons, demands that the case against